Attention, please.
And now, it's Cutter's Rockcast.
You want to hold it?
I don't mind. I can hold it.
If you seriously want to do it, go ahead. It's a room stereo mic, so
He's doing our job for us.
Very cool.
we'll be all right. We are on a tour bus with Bert Mccracken from The Used. Very nice. First of all, dude, thank you for taking a couple minutes, man.
You're welcome.
Obviously, I always greatly appreciate it. We've never met before. We've never been able to do this before. So it's, as a longtime fan, and I don't fan out much on these things, but I will a little bit right here because since 2002, is that right? When was
I have no context for your question, so I don't know.
No. I know. I was just trying to think of. I'm just trying to think of when I first actually heard you guys.
That would be a question for you. And
Yo, I know it is.
Let
me ask myself.
Our record
Hold on,
came
can I just
out.
interview myself
it was
real
probably
quick?
2002. Our record. We were on
it feels
tour.
like that.
I think in the end of 2000. We were doing a lot of touring and recording in 2001. I think it was 2002 when it finally came out.
I'm placing life history in with when I heard the first Used record. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's why, hence the pause and the thought.
Beautiful.
But no, seriously, I appreciate this. But so I want to go here right away because you just released a song right before Christmas called "Blow Me" with Jason from Fever. But there's a new record on the way, and there's new songs coming out, and it seems like you guys are hitting a new stride right now, even more so than you have in recent years. What are you testing that to? Because it just like the word about the Used, people talking about the Used again, like there just seems to be something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a big part of this resurgence in all of this kind of music. I think any music that has any attachment to true feelings, emotion, they call it emo.
I mean, we can call it emo if you want.
Yeah, there's a big resurgence in this kind of music. I think that the most popular sounds of the last 10 years were a little bit removed from what I listened to music for growing up, which is that pure cathartic escape, almost like studying philosophy, to answer some of the bigger questions in life.
I love that.
Why are we here? What are we doing here? What is it all about? All those things. I think that music has this really powerful potential to take you out of your place and help you examine the place, right? If that makes sense. And it's a little bit about anything that's going on in life, right? Whether you're in an amazing place or whether you're in a low place. But I think that all of that combined with everyone in the band has felt on top of the world. We've all been the happiest and healthiest we've ever been in our lives. Don't know why that is. Feels like being in a band for 20 years has really put a lot of things into a focused perspective, and we're so grateful for this opportunity. 20 years later, we've seen so many bands kind of go the way of the internet. It's to shit, you know? And, you know, we've been here the whole time. So not only are we proud and have a lot of pride in what we do, but we're also humbled by the fact that we're still around. There's still fans. It's just overwhelming to us.
Do you feel like you approached this record in like knowing that you're in a better place and kind of I know for me personally, when I'm in a better place when it comes to writing, it's harder in one sense, but it's easier in another sense because I'm not as afraid of getting my emotions out. Whereas when I'm in a bad place, I'm kind of nervous about like how is this going to be received.
Right.
Do you feel that being in the place that all of you are at right now in putting this record together, do you feel like it was easier or harder or just different, or like what kind of was surrounding you in writing this album?
For the hardcore fans, you know, the last record was a bit of a departure from how we usually do things, and I think even more so than I experienced while we were making it, was really an art project, and it was a bit of an experiment to see how deep I could go in the grieving process of loss with a record. And yeah, so that last record wasn't for anyone but me. It was very selfish. It was very convoluted. It was very...
There's nothing wrong with that, though. As an artist, it was sometimes you got to get those out. You got to get those thoughts out.
Yeah, the seventh record, and it was more about what had gone on in my life, and I think that's makes sense for any artist. I think that a record or a painting or a book or a photo or whatever your medium is just that snapshot of where you might be at in your life. And this record was really the opposite in every way. The point of this record was to say yes to everything. If anyone had any ideas coming towards us, do you guys maybe want to work with this type of person, with this person in particular, we'd be like, oh. Yes.
Sure.
The answer is
why not?
The answer is yes to every question. The answer is yes. So, yeah, we didn't feel like we needed to kind of protect any story. There was no in particular concept that we were really precious about. This is about having fun, making music, and being as honest with ourselves as we could be. And even when you're in a good place, we're human. So there's this trajectory always.
It can change.
So yeah,
it can change real quick.
Yeah, in a matter of minutes.
Do you feel like in saying yes to all of those new avenues and new things, like what do you feel like you kind of learned from doing that? Because every time you experience something new, you learn
so
something
much.
new.
I learned so much about the way that I work. Watching the way other people work, watching the way other people write lyrics, really gave me a lot of self-confidence in the way that I do things. I found that some of the most high-end, top-shelf writers out there really haven't explored literature the way that I have. So I think that I have a bit of it's a curse and a blessing at the same time. So maybe I can't think about things as generally and put things as simplistically as they can on that pop level, but it kind of blows my mind how the lack of attention to words there are in the whole world of writing music, especially writing lyrics.
It's really funny that you say that, because the one thing that I've always realized about the Used, the amount of words within the songs, there are more than there are in a lot of rock songs. Definitely if you place it against pop music, but because pop music is all about let's get to that chorus and let's make it catchy. Right. We're going to be popular for 6 months, and then it's going to go away.
Well, and what does it really take to be popular? It's to kind of reach that lowest common denominator. You know, not everyone listens to music for the same reason, but there is a lot of people, and the majority of people who do listen to it for the same reason. Maybe for the background, the club, and just the...
Oh, sure. Listen, I mean, there's a place for that. There is 100%. Definitely a place for that.
100%. But yeah, like you're saying, it's a different mindset when we want to kind of evoke certain feelings and emotions from the music, and pop is not easy, but neither is country, I'm sure.
I mean, listen, like, respect to honestly anybody who's really trying to do it. It's a difficult world to be in. It's a difficult world to live. To try to be. Listen, you'll come through, man.
You have to climb over. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave.
His butt. You saw his butt.
Hey.
Not a lot of people know this,
Kaytie.
but Dave.
I'm gonna get a spray bottle for you.
I sing Dave's name and take it away every single night.
Do you?
Yep, Dave Chapman.
Just add it in. I love Take It Over. See, I'm gonna go old school and be like, fuck those first couple records. Anyway, but I have you said the last album was more about you, and this album's more about Yes. But I did love the last record, and I loved for what it was. I loved the fact that it felt so personal. So in this new record, if you're not being personal, and I know you said yes to everything, all the different ideas that exist, writing with different people, working with different ideas, whatever it may be, was there still sort of something you had in the back of your mind as we announced this album and start getting it ready for the world? Was there still something in the back of your mind that was like, okay, we can do all these things, but let's make sure we stay true to this?
Right. I think the only thing that we've ever really paid close attention to is just to have a diversity of sound. Everybody likes such different types of music in the band. I think the drummer and the bass player are really a lot more into like a rock and roll sound, something that's heavy and that thumps and that rocks.
Thickness.
And I'm a bit more on the extremes. I'd rather listen to like Converge or Knocked Loose and that kind of heavy band, or listen to some pop stuff, to be honest, or something weird or something kind of out there. So we do our best to kind of make each individual person happy from their kind of personal taste point of view. But I think it's easy to kind of explore with our different tastes. It's always been easy for us to start in the day and be like, well, we need a heavy song, so let's write a heavy song. It's like, okay, well, we need a weird one, we need a poppy one, we need something theatrical, something with drama, we need something emotive. I guess those were the only kind of conversations we had. What does it feel like today?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes
Gotcha.
sense. When you're picking what you're putting on the album, like, I mean, I know everybody usually has, like, some pile of songs, and it's really difficult to be like, all right, we're going to do this, and we're going to put this here. Like, how do you feel that in putting this record together and picking out what songs that you wanted to put on it and the flow of it, like, how do you feel from start to finish on it? Obviously, great, because you put the record together, but...
Yeah, we did have quite a few. We had about 30 songs finished, so, and I think there's only 15 on the record. So we'll have a really cool B-sides record coming out.
Nice.
Hopefully later this year. But we wanted the record to kind of showcase the different elements within the studio. Like some of the songs sound straight live, like you would be hearing them from the stage, and some of the songs are kind of back to the first and second record style of production, where it's like some of the sounds are. It's full production. It's full. You're in a little world of your own inside these songs. So, yeah, we wanted the songs to kind of flow in that way to kind of showcase the differences. I think it's really cool to hear a song. It's like, wow, there's barely any production in that song. It's huge and heavy, and then the next song is like, wow, there's no real drums in that song. That's crazy.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
We're sitting here in 2020, and you know, so many of bands like The Used and have been around for so long at this point, and I've always been curious. As a songwriter and as an artist, I know you're always kind of trying to look forward, but do you ever go back? Do you ever think about, okay, well, you know what? I wanted to try this idea 15 years ago. It wasn't right at the time. Maybe I'll try it now.
Sure. I think ideas that are great, they always stick around. There's a little arrangement in a song we made with a really special poem of mine that is the title track for the record on this new one, and the poem has been around probably since 2012. Wrote it in a really kind of horrible moment, a violent moment, an extreme moment, but you captured it, and so you have that feeling, you have that little kind of capsule of that moment, kind of ready, locked and loaded, whenever you want to pull it out, wherever you want to put it.
They're waiting, yeah.
And if it's good, it really does. You can read it 5-6 years later and be like, okay, yeah, I still feel that. I still feel that from where it came from.
Do you do, like, I write poetry, I do, like, spoken word and stuff like that, so I'll find myself going through old notebooks from 20 years ago and pulling one line that then spawns this whole other series of writing and, like, something that I didn't even expect to connect to, and then I find it. Do you do that?
Yeah, but I think that when records are happening, you kind of use up old stuff. I've used up all those old notebooks. So
Okay.
anything that I pulled from was like in my notes between Imaginary Enemy and now. So it would be
Okay.
like, I don't think there's anything older than 2014, but maybe besides maybe that poem. But yeah, there's always stuff
good.
sitting around. There's always, voice notes and
Want some help?
memos and
Okay.
This is the beauty of the Backstage series.
Dave Chapman, ladies and gentlemen.
You just never know what you're gonna run into. You know.
You never do.
Absolutely. We've done these on pillows. We've done these in buses.
Yeah.
We've done these on trailers. Literally on trailers.
Love it.
But that's the beauty of it, because this is rock and roll, and we're where we are today. We're at the Bottom Lounge in Chicago, and they used about set to get to play a show for, what is this place called? 350, 400 people?
Yeah, I'm so
It's
pumped.
something like this. We were here for Sum 41,
Small, super
actually,
small.
not that long ago. And it's a cool venue, and to see you guys on a stage like this, I'm really stoked about it, because I know you can do bigger rooms, but to do something like this, so let me ask you, the big rooms, the small rooms, doesn't matter. Do you have a preference?
Well, I guess it all depends, but it does matter. And these, excuse me.
I mean, besides the payday thing, because we're not going to get into that.
I mean, if we wanted to get paid, we would definitely be doing something else.
Right?
The small rooms are where it's at. It's where bands started. It's where all the emotion is. It's where it gets the most hot, the most sweaty, right in the face. You can come through. No worries. Okay.
We're going to get everybody's butts.
Nope.
Butt shots.
Butt shots.
But yeah, I think like we were talking about earlier, there's a big movement right now. There's a big resurgence in this type of music. A lot of bands are coming back really hard and hot and trying to sell out all the massive arenas all over the world. And we're like, why don't we just play in the smallest possible clubs we can find?
love it.
Yeah, give it
Oh my
back.
God.
Give it back to the hardcore fans.
Bert Mccracken, the Renaissance man.
Yeah.
Not for any other reason other than I wanted to play some old B-sides too.
That's
There you go.
awesome.
I
Oh
want
my
to play
God,
some
I'm so
songs
pumped.
that used fans maybe never have heard before.
This is my first
Oh,
time
there you
seeing
go.
you.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
like I've never seen these. There's not
Oh,
a lot
you're
of
gonna be
bands that
so
I've never
stoked.
seen, but I've been a fan for a while and I've never seen these. So I'm just like, oh my God, and I get to do it in a tiny venue.
Yeah,
This is
perfect.
great.
This is a
It's like my
perfect first
dreams.
show.
It's funny
Yeah.
you said what you just said. The person who's going to be to go a little behind the curtain. Most bands have people that work their songs, records, or whatever, to radio, to video services, to whatever, to press. And the person that is going to be working your new record was telling me this story the other day about how he had first time he worked with the Used. There was this little band opening for you named My Chemical Romance. And I'm laughing because this was yesterday he was telling me the story.
Oh, wow.
And the day we're recording this, yesterday tickets went on sale for the My Chemical Romance reunion tour in the United States, and they all sold out in like 3 minutes. Giant arenas, festivals, whatever. I mean, they sold out so quick. So to go back to what you were saying about the resurgence of this kind of style of music, about bands like the Used, like My Chem, and whoever it may be, even Sum 41 to an extent, because I just brought them up because we've seen them here recently. It's pretty interesting that we've kind of come back around to be okay, you know, with this inner looking of music, because the bands like you guys really wore your heart on your sleeves more so, I think, than any other genre of music that existed before it, especially in the world of rock.
Yeah, I think it's all kind of happenstance, right? We grew up with music that was like not only in your face like Nirvana, but also really, really sentimental, like Sunny Day Real Estate.
Right.
So it's just what I stashed and ripped off in my subconscious. So it's nobody's fault. When we first met My Chemical Romance, they were my favorite band. I brought them out all over the world. There's a reason why they blew up, and they're one of the biggest bands of all time.
Absolutely.
They're amazing. Been talking to Gerard, and it wouldn't surprise anyone to see the Used on that tour. I'm not saying, I'm joking. Come on, you know me. I'm a kidder. Come on, G-boy. Come on, G-boy. I already texted him. Come on.
They happen. We know you're watching.
Also, when's season 2 of the Umbrella Academy? I mean, while we're having this conversation, I just figured I'd throw it out
while
there.
we're having a Gerard Way interview.
No, I love this though. I love the fact that, like, I feel like rock in particular got to a point where it was like, let's just kind of cookie cut these moments, you know, let's just have this first chorus and then, or, you know, first verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, breakdown, whatever at the end of it. And I feel
That's fine if it's a great song,
right,
right?
that's awesome. But when it's so systematic, I think you lose a lot of just the rawness and the
feelings of it?
weirdness that can come out of a songwriting process. And I'm excited to see you guys coming out with a record where that kind of different things comes out. I like that.
I think
don't know
the
if I'm saying it
emphasis
right.
kind of changed when social media took such a skeletal grip on the world.
Sure.
Everyone has ulterior motives. Nobody starts a band to play music anymore.
Can't disagree with that a lot of times. I mean, I think there are
Shit.
people, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, there's always another idea. It's like the band's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun when we get all big and have tons of followers, and it's like it's not. Yeah, none of that's tangible. None of those things are actually tangible. What's tangible is the feeling that you get when you listen to music, when you create something, and
We just did a whole episode of our podcast version of all this stuff, talking about making sure you go to shows early to see the opening bands, going to festivals early to make sure you see the bands on the third stage, the second stage, you know, whatever, and not necessarily the main stage and not the headliners, because of that evocation of feeling, because that's how you really understand where music is coming from. Once it hits you here, that's where you get it, and you don't get that. I mean, you can get that on an album, sure, no question, but you don't really get it until you see a band live. Until you get to a show, whether it's at a place like this where we're going to see the Used in a few hours, 350 people, or a giant festival where there's 35,000 people, where you get to see Metallica for the for me the 25th time. The point is you get that feeling no matter where you are, and that is where music lives, man.
100%.
So I'm glad you said that.
100%.
Bert Mccracken of the Used. To be completely honest, since we already said we're at the Bottom Lounge Chicago, you probably already figured out the date of the recording of this interview. We're releasing this conversation the day the single comes out, which is today because that's the day we're releasing it. So what can you tell me about the song? And anything else you want to say about the record before we close this up?
Buy it.
We don't buy records.
This is, and by the
Buy
way, who don't understand,
Please, we're not
Blow Me-
selling anything. Don't buy shit.
Blow Me with Jason from Fever is one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah, I love him.
Amazing. He's a hero.
I'm glad you guys
Dude.
put that song out before Christmas. The song we were talking about now is the song that you're going to start hearing on various radio stations, fingers crossed.
It's called Paradise Lost, a poem by John Milton, and it's about 2 minutes and 34 seconds long.
I mean, that's what it is.
And I think it's I think it's the first song on our new record, and I think that you'll be very pleased. We wanted to capture what excited us about music growing up. I think there's a lot of 90s nostalgia on this record, a lot of nostalgia for our first two records, which were very colorful and all over the place. And yeah, we have a really interesting story being told on this new record. We can't wait for you to hear it.
I'm so excited.
Oh, see, so there is an underlying thing to it.
There always is.
See, we got there. Bert Mccracken from the Used. Thank you so
Thank you guys.
much, man.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Absolutely.
it. Right
That
on.
was awesome.
Nice to meet
Thank
you guys.
You too.
Hell yeah.
Cutter's Rockcast.
Don't forget to tune in. Exactly.